Hello, I'm David Pendergrass, and I thought I'd respond to a video clip I was sent today. I get sent clips and videos from people, which I really do enjoy. Here's a video that I said, what do I think about this? This is a really good example of how I would not read the Bible, but I'm not going to pick on it. Here we go. Here's an example of it.
If you look at Genesis chapter 1, it's so deep, bro. For example, he says you shall have dominion over the fish of the sea and the fowl of the air. And then he says every creeping thing. People would always ask, like, why did God say specifically those animals? Why fish of the sea and fowl of the air? When I read in context, especially in the Hebrew and Aramaic, you can see that fish and birds have something that's really different and unique than other animals. They have two birds. So they have the egg, and then the bird will crack and come out. Fish is caviar, and then they'll swim out. Human beings need two birds. Two were born once, and we're born in the spirit. Also,
yeah, that's clever and that's cute, but that's completely unpersuasive. And this is a kind of reading called analogical reading in the early church fathers, the patristic era, that there are certain Christians who did read the Bible this way. They took Old Testament text and said, this reminds me of this in the New Testament or Jesus or the early church or the primitive church. And that's a way to read it. The problem is this guy, I guess his name is Johnny, but Johnny said in historical context, and no, that's nothing to do with historical context whatsoever. The ancient Jews, or Jews who wrote that in Genesis 1 did not know anything about baptism or Christianity or the church. So in historical context, the second thing I would say is that there is no Aramaic in Genesis at all, so you did not read that in Hebrew or Aramaic. Certainly not in Aramaic because it doesn't exist. I mean, it's been translated to Aramaic, but the original was not. It was in Hebrew. So when Johnny says when you read that, like, but scholars don't read that in Aramaic, so I bet Johnny didn't either. I don't know where he got this from.
He's lying. He's lying.
So in Hebrew, that's right, so birds of the air and fish below. And so scholars have not been asking all this time, what do we do? What's the deeper meaning, bro? I just, no one says bro to me anymore. Anyway, all to say in context is because in the ancient world, virtually every single ancient person, for which we have evidence, believed that all of the cosmos, what they would call the world of creation, no matter what Sumerian, Canaanite, Babylonian, or Jewish, they believed that there were basically three major tiers to existence. You had to think of it like a dome, and it's hard, the rakeim, it's hard shell, like an egg, it's a hard candy shell, and then beneath that is the sky. And both in Hebrew and in Greek later on, the sky can also be translated heavens. But there's the sky, that's where birds, so in Genesis, the author says the birds of the air. He's trying to say animals up there. Humans are in the middle, and then below, of course, the fish. And so it's just the way the author of Genesis is saying that God populated the animals of the world in which they knew way up there and down below. In the historical context, there is no greater meaning, there's no deeper. It's rather saying God wanted to make sure there were animals everywhere. And he leads up to the most important point, which is that humans will rule over all of them, even though humans don't fly in the air and even though we don't live in the sea.
Hey, guys! Hey, Aquaman!
Yeah. Hey, make a fish do something.
Oh, shucks, guys. I don't know. I guess I could do something like this.
We still roll over all of them, and of course that's what's going on there. It has nothing to do with second births or anything like that.
So birds and fish are both made from water as well.
True.
And
I mean, no, they're not, George. I mean, what does that mean? A bird's made from water?
Hello? Anybody home? Hey, think but fly fish.
Fish aren't made of water. They're not made of H2O. I mean, even humans aren't made of water. We're conceived and we live in water, but we're not. And maybe that's what he meant. Anyway, I don't. Yeah.
we made new with water.
Sure.
Baptism.
Yeah. And then birds, what's beautiful about them is they can defy gravity, meaning they can go against the flow. Fish can swim upstream, also go against the flow. And when we're born again, we can go against the flow of the world. So that's why he said it.
Mic drop, dude. Mic drop, dude.
Just one time in my life, I want someone to do that after my sermon. Just, oh, mic drop, dude. And some of y'all critics of the atheists all night. That's never going to happen because y'all believe in fairy tales. Anyway, those are my thoughts on that. Yeah, in historical context, this is overwhelmingly unpersuasive. But thank you for trying. But it is a way to read the Bible analogical. If you want to do that, you can. You can read the Bible analogically in the Old Testament if you want. Historically, though, scholars won't do that at all. And I'm one of them. I would never read it that way. But all that to say, I'm glad you're reading the Bible. That's very good. And I also agree that baptism, the implication that it's important and that we need to get born from above. Anyway, that's all. So we do have to get born from the Spirit. That's good. And those are my thoughts on that. Send me your video Let me know, write in the comments, all the stuff you do. God bless you. I'll see you next time. If you went to the Holy Land today, they have tour guides who go around and point out various aspects of the topography and geography and say that's important because, that part is important because. It can be overwhelming if you've never done it before, but it's very helpful to have a tour guide to let you put your attention on where you're supposed to be looking in that very moment. Well, I wrote this book, ReDiscover Jesus, to do something very similarly. There's so much out there about Jesus in the New Testament. I wanted to cut through all that and put something accessible in your hands that would help you focus your attention directly on the main things Jesus taught in historical context and with some real practical tips on how to apply it today in the modern world. Whether you're a skeptic or whether you're a devout follower of Jesus already, I think ReDiscover Jesus will be a fantastic text for you individually or for small groups or perhaps for large groups like your entire church. I think you're going to find this very helpful. Go to Amazon.com to get it on Kindle or paperback, or there's an audiobook where I read it myself. If you want bulk orders, let me know. I'll give you a special discount. God bless you, and I hope you're going to enjoy and learn from ReDiscover Jesus. Get yours today. That's bars, son.